Did the angels worship God at the beginning of the world? Did all the angels worship God at the beginning of the world? So, to understand it, one must try, with someone like Saint Thomas Aquinas or Saint Dionysius the Areopagite, to reconstruct the history of angels. When God created the material, at the same time, he says, and that is, billions of angels appear. They do not have a body. Having no body, they cannot learn through their sensitive experience, little by little. They are pure spirits, so instantly, they are adults. And Saint Thomas tries to reconstruct what were, in their inner time, called the Avum, the first 3 intellectual acts that the angels did. Well, because God had created them adults and so he had put in their intelligence all that was needed for their knowledge of adults, the first act they did naturally, as would a human being who would wake up after a coma, in a place he does not know, well, he would wonder where he is and who he is, if he has forgotten certain things. And so the first act is that they looked at each other and they found that they were creatures absolutely marvelous, in structure, in intelligence, in beauty, in will. This is not a look of the physical eye, since they have no body, it is a look of intelligence. First act. Second act, because they are just intelligent, it is to go back to their cause. Having appeared at once, they knew immediately, it is logical, that, not being the cause of themselves, they had a cause. And so, all angels, in an act of lucid intelligence, there are only men to believe that these wonders that are the world can come from nothing, by simple laws of chance, they know well and therefore, all without exception worshipped God. To adore does not mean to love. It means, to perform an act of intelligence, which recognizes an invisible being, who is there, whom they do not see, who is their creator, because they are not their own creators. No angel is atheist. All worship, so recognize God as their creator. On the other hand, it must be said, they adored in gratitude, because one can only be grateful to be suddenly when one did not exist the moment before. Which means that when God says, "Let there be light," and the light was, which indicates, according to Saint Augustine, the creation of the angels, at the beginning, all are good, in their nature, but also in their natural act. The first of them, Lucifer, is the Latin Lucifero, Lucifer, too, a resplendent cherub adored God with all his will, since he has no sensitivity, but all his intelligence, which commands his willingness to acknowledge to God that he is the creator. Obviously, I am only telling the beginning of the story. He had a third act of angels. They looked at each other. But that's what I'm going to deal with in the next video.